beautiful people, and welcome back to the Jackson Power Show. I know it has been a minute since I have posted. School kind of got in the way of everything, but we are back today with a bang. With the NFL season set to kick off tomorrow, Jackson Powers, will be doing the entire schedule prediction for my team, the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to start to make this an annual thing. Last year, on my Powers 101 channel, which we don't talk about, that's my brother, not really. I did predictions for the Colts season, and I didn't get them right, just to say the least. But today, we're going to get them right this year. These are going to be 100% accurate, so get ready for this. But before we get into these predictions, we're going to go to a really quick commercial break. Hey! Subscribe to the freaking channel! And like the video, too. This message has been brought to you by Jackson Powers. This is the commercial break. So, quick side note. Do you think we can get Oprah for episode 3 of the Jackson Powers Show? Oh, hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Jackson Powers Show. That commercial was weird, to say the least. I don't know why they made us show it, but we're going to get right into these season predictions for the Indianapolis Colts. A team that I feel like can do really well this season. They had a really good offseason, having a really strong draft, bringing in Michael Pittman Jr., Jonathan Taylor, Julian Blackmon, and they brought in a lot of other players in that draft too. They also got undrafted free agent kicker Rodrigo Blankenship, who will be the starting kicker for the Indianapolis Colts, who took over for Chase McLaughlin, who took over for Adam Vinatieri. Adam Vinatieri going to be a free agent. It's going to be weird not seeing him in a Colts uniform, but it's probably for the best. He was getting up there in age, and he didn't have it anymore. So, Colts had a great offseason, especially getting Phillip Rivers, a veteran guy to help lead the locker room and lead the team, in fact. And they made him a captain, oddly enough, probably because in our home opener, half the crowd's going to be his kids. So, I'm just kidding. It's probably because he's a veteran. But definitely this team, I feel like they have the potential to go pretty deep in the playoffs and have a really good season as well. But I'm going to get right into these predictions for the Indianapolis Colts. So, week 1, which is tomorrow when I'm recording this, or today when I'm putting this up probably. They're going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Jaguars had one questionable offseason, to say the least. They traded everybody. They released Leonard Fournette. About the only 2 players that are still on their team from last year are Gardner Minshew and DJ Chark. So, Jaguars are definitely in tank for Trevor mode, so I think the Colts, especially with all the talent they have, they go into Jacksonville and win easily. I think the Colts win this game by at least 3 scores. My score prediction for this one is the Colts win 38-10. I think the Colts get a really good season opener and a pretty comfortable win. And they're going to take that momentum into week 2 when they have their home opener against the Minnesota Vikings. And I feel like this one's going to be a tough one. Minnesota, they got to play the Packers week 1. So they're going to be coming in off of that, which I think Minnesota will beat the Packers week 1. So this is going to be a really good game. I feel like both teams are going to be coming in off a win. I feel like it's going to be a really competitive back and forth game. But I think once it gets to the fourth quarter, I think the Colts are going to be too much for them. I think the Colts probably win not easily, but I think they get about a comfortable 2-score win in the fourth quarter behind a pretty good performance by Phillip Rivers and the entire team. Week 3, at home again against the New York Jets. I feel like that one's going to be another easy one for the Colts. I feel like the Jets will be better than people think, but I don't know if they're going to be able to match up against the Colts. It'll be closer than people think, but I still don't think it's going to be like a shootout or anything. I think the Colts probably win this one pretty easily. I think they win this one by at least 3 scores. My score prediction in this one is 34-14 Colts. Now, week 4, they're going to Chicago to play the Bears. They're going to run into that tough Bears defense, but the Bears are going to run into our tough defense too. And if Mitch Trubisky's still their quarterback by this point, the Colts are going to win this game. Even if they have Nick Foles, I think the Colts will win this game. I think the Colts are just an overall better team than the Bears. They got a much better offense. Defense is pretty equal in my opinion, but I think the offense is going to take over in this game. for the Colts, and I think they win it by a final score of 28-14. So through the first 4 weeks, I have the Colts off to a hot start with 4-0. I think that's going to happen. I feel like the Colts have the potential to have a really good season so far. Now, next up, Week 5, going to Cleveland to take on the Browns. I think Cleveland, they have the potential to have a good season. I think Cleveland could hit 10 wins this year. I don't know. That'd be their best season since 2007, I believe. Because they haven't had a good season since. They went 10-6 and missed the playoffs. That's the most Browns thing ever. Can we talk about that, first of all? Second of all, the Colts and the Browns, every time they play, it's usually close. So I feel like this one's going to be close as well. But I have to go with the Colts in this one. I think the Colts, again, are the overall better team, and I think they get this win by a final score of 28-24. Week 6, the Colts return home to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. I know one of my friends probably watching this, Devin Franklin, is a big fan of the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals added Joe Burrow in the offseason, which was a big pickup, and then they got T. Higgins in the second round of the draft. They also beefed up the offensive line, and I wouldn't say that, but the team has improved from last year. They got a lot of young talent on the team, so I think that's going to help them in the long run. I think this one has the potential to be a close game with Phillip Rivers and Joe Burrow going back and forth. I got to go with my Colts in this one. I think the Colts win this one by a final of 35-21. Week 7, the Colts are on a bye. I feel like that's a good spot to have a bye in. Going 6-0 while going into a bye is a great spot to be in. The week after the bye, which is Week 8, they go to Detroit to take on the Lions. Again, I think the Lions are a very underrated team. Matt Stafford is a very underrated quarterback. He's a talented quarterback. He just always has a bad team around him. That's why he can never really succeed in Detroit. But I think this is going to be another pretty good game. I wouldn't say it's going to be that close, but I think it's going to be pretty close. I think Detroit brings the fight to the Colts, and I think the Colts end up winning this one 31-17. By the way, I'm just kind of like throwing these score predictions out there. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But Week 9, this gets pretty tough against the Ravens. I think this one is going to be really close, though. I think the Colts and the Ravens are going to have a really close game, but I think the Ravens are probably going to be the better team in this one. And I think the Ravens take this one by a final score of 34-31. So the Colts lose their first game in Week 9. I think they're going to be undefeated up until Week 9. 7-1, though, still a pretty good record. Week 10, another tough matchup. They're going to Tennessee to take on the Titans. Oh, by the way, the Ravens game is at home. I didn't say that. But next up, they're going to Tennessee to take on the Titans. A division rival, always a close game. I don't know what's going to happen. I think it's actually going to be pretty low scoring. I think it's going to be a defensive battle. But I got to go with Tennessee in this one. I think the Colts drop back-to-back here. I think Tennessee, this is Thursday Night Football too. I think Tennessee wins it 20-17. And the Colts hit kind of a downfall right here. But Week 11, they go to take on the Green Bay Packers. Packers had a very interesting offseason. Didn't draft a receiver like Aaron Rodgers wanted to. Instead, they traded up in the first round to draft Jordan Love, and then they draft a running back in like the second round, I believe, when they have Aaron Jones already. I don't think they took a receiver the entire draft. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but Packers had a very interesting offseason, but I think Aaron Rodgers is actually going to have a really good season because he's got a chip on his shoulder now with Jordan Love like being there. Like they're like, hey Aaron, if you're not good this year, we can easily cut you, and we had Jordan Love, or we can just take you out of the game and bench you, and Jordan Love can come in. So Aaron Rodgers has a big chip on his shoulder, and I think he's going to perform pretty well this season. Now, when the Colts take on the Green Bay Packers in Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana, it's going to be a really good, hard-fought game by both teams. I feel like it's going to be an offensive battle. I think both teams are going to show up to play. It's going to be a really good game. I think the Colts bounce back after 2 straight losses, and they take this one by the final score of 24-21. Next up, Week 12, they get the Titans again at home this time. Titans, again, really good team. I think the Colts, though, they're going to split with the Titans. I think the Colts win this one, and I feel like they get this one kind of comfortably because I feel like they'll have a lot of momentum coming from the Packers game. I think the Colts win this one 28-14. Just another shot in the dark with that score. Next up, at Houston for the first time in the season in Week 13. Houston had another questionable offseason, trading DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson and something else, like a couple second-round picks, which DeAndre Hopkins is worth more than that, in my opinion. They should have gotten a first-round pick out of that. But it was a very questionable move by the front office, to say the least. I don't know. It had to have been something with the front office, because I don't think they would have traded DeAndre Hopkins if he didn't have a problem with them. So, about the only good player on the Texans, in my opinion, is Deshaun Watson. That guy's really good. But other than that, J.J. Watt's getting old and he's injury-prone. I just don't know if Houston's going to be that good this year. Going to Houston, though, I think this is going to be a close game, but I think the Colts take it 28-24. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts stay on the road to go and take on the Las Vegas Raiders. It's going to take some getting used to keep saying Las Vegas Raiders instead of Oakland Raiders, but they're in Las Vegas now, going to the Raiders' new stadium to play them, and for some reason, anytime we play the Raiders, it's usually a really close game, and we either win or lose. You can go back-to-back with them, but I'm gonna go with a loss here. I think the Colts dropped their third game of the season in Las Vegas to the Raiders, because I don't know how, but the Raiders always somehow beat us. And I think the Raiders are actually going to be pretty good this season. So I think it's going to be another good game. And I think the Colts lose this one with the final score being 31-24, same as last year. Week 15, Colts return home to take on the Houston Texans. Like I said earlier, Houston had a pretty strange offseason. I think the Colts win this one, and I think they sweep the Texans in the season series. So now next up, Week 16, the Colts travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Definitely going to be a tough one, especially in Pittsburgh in those cold conditions. Colts usually struggle when they go to Pittsburgh, and I think that continues. I think that Pittsburgh is going to end up beating the Colts. Pittsburgh, I think they're going to have a pretty good season with Big Ben coming back. I think they're going to do better than people think. I think they're going to be in contention for the division, as always. And this is going to be a big game for them. And I feel like by this point, the Colts might be locked up in their division already. So I got to go with the Steelers winning this one in a low-scoring game, 17-14, given the fact it's going to be so cold. And finally, Week 17, Colts finish at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville might be like 0-15 by this point, so I don't see that changing. I think the Colts, even if they play their backups in this one, I think the Colts get this one. It'll probably be close if the Colts play their backups, but I think the Colts end up winning 24-10. So, with all of that, I think the Colts finish with a record of 12-4. They win the AFC South, and they're third in the AFC overall. So they get a home playoff game. I think they actually make a pretty deep playoff run. I think they ultimately lose to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship. And so I think the Chiefs go on to the Super Bowl, and I think they take on the New Orleans Saints, and I think the Chiefs go back-to-back this year. So, just going over my predictions, a very promising year for the Colts it will be. And I think the year after this, like 2021 season, the Colts might go all the way. Like, if they continue to build on this, they'll go all the way for sure, I think. Not for sure, but I think they have the potential to win it next season. So, this is going to be a pretty good year to be a Colts fan. I honestly think they're going to go pretty far in the playoffs, despite what people are saying. I know somebody, Peyton Flowers, who thinks that the Colts are going to win the Super Bowl. I wouldn't go that far. I would be happy if they did, but I think they at least lose in the AFC Championship game. They end up having a pretty good season with Phillip Rivers at the helm in his first year, and he returns to Indianapolis next year and wins us a Super Bowl, and then he retires. Yep. So, that's going to do it for this episode of the Jackson Power Show. If you liked it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and comment what I should do for episode 3 of the Jackson Power Show, and yeah, consider subscribing and doing whatever you want, but that's going to be all for today. Bye.